Ba 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Tree, as promised, good morning and a happy Wednesday to you, Sean, and everyone else out there in the great wide internet world. Doing the laundry, that's the noise you hear. As you can see, our tree turned out to be bright, beautiful, and a little sexy. That's a tree of which a man should be proud. Let's get to it, shall we? So yesterday I was reading this article about a man who went to the Detroit Lions football game on Thanksgiving. He was sitting behind a couple who he assumed was married, the woman was pregnant, and he noticed that every time the man got up, the woman would start furiously texting. Curiosity gets the best of this guy. He leans forward and starts reading her text. He sees that she is texting someone named Jason about how she wishes she was spending the whole day with him, how she can't wait to see him later, so on and so forth. He deduces that she is cheating. So what does our hero do? He writes this note and passes it to the man upon leaving the stadium. If you want the full story, link down below. It's supposed to be a trumpet of victory, but I can't make trumpet sounds. I really can't do any sound effects. I suck. Anyway, it's justice, victory, villainy defeated, right? Or is it? So this whole thing made me think about The Great Gatsby. Well, I know, what doesn't make me think about The Great Gatsby? Only two things, burnt toast and colostomy bags. So back to The Great Gatsby then. So every year I teach The Great Gatsby, I ask my students, does Nick have a responsibility to tell his cousin Daisy about her husband Tom's affair with Myrtle? So Daisy thinks Tom is having an affair. Nick sees it firsthand. He becomes, in some ways, almost a part of the whole thing. Here when I ask this question, at least half my students, if not more, say no. It is none of Nick's business. He should butt out. And sure as shooting, a good chunk of the internet thought that this guy at the football game should have minded his own business too. I also ask my students that if they were in Daisy's shoes, would they want Nick to tell them? And almost all of them say yes. We seem to live in a world of paradox where most people want to be told something like this, but most people don't want to do the telling. And one of the questions I ask my students and I ask myself is, why? Why do we not want to get involved? First, it could get very messy. You don't know what entanglements may ensue from inserting yourself into a situation. You could have people mad at you, people asking you to choose sides. You might even have to testify in certain situations if it goes to that extreme. Who wants to deal with that? People may also be reluctant to get involved when they don't have all the facts about a certain situation. Going back to the football game example, there's so much that guy who passed the note can't know about the relationship unfolding in front of him. I mean, maybe he misread the context of the text. Maybe she's just texting her brother, or maybe the guy at this game is the one she's having an affair with and she's texting her husband. Maybe the problem is the assumption of a shared morality and the couple has an open relationship, so what she's doing is totally fine with the guy. Or maybe the guy at the game is her husband, but she's in an abusive relationship that she's trying to get out of, and by passing that man that note, he just put her life in danger. And with involving oneself comes a certain level of responsibility. I mean, you can't just wash your hands and say, I'm out. But there has to be a certain level of responsibility for not involving oneself as well, because certainly there can be consequences from inaction. Remember when Spider-Man doesn't stop the robber who goes on to shoot his Uncle Ben? Mm-hmm. All this reminds me of another story written in the second person by Franz Kafka called The Passers-By. See, he creates this situation in which you're walking up a hill and you see two people running at you at some distance apart. The second person seemingly chasing the first person. He says, what do? You let the first person run by you. Why? Well, you don't know what's going on. They may be just amusing themselves. Perhaps they're chasing a third person you didn't see. Perhaps the second person is trying to murder the first person by stopping the first person. As I was saying, by stopping the first person, you become an accessory to murder. Maybe the first person has a gun and you could be injured. But at the end, the last paragraph, he really gives it away. He says, and anyway, haven't you the right to be tired? And you're thankful now that they're long both gone and out of sight. I guess next question is, what would I have done in these situations? Yeah, I'd rat out Tom, not just because he's a big colossal jerk, but because I would have all the facts. The football game situation? I don't know. I don't think so. First of all, I don't think I would have read her text over her shoulder, but if I had somehow inadvertently seen them and gotten the gist of them, I'm not sure I would have felt I had enough information to intervene. The Kafka situation also suffers from a dearth of information, but I'd like to think I would have stopped that first guy and asked him what was going on, made sure everything was all right, and offered to call the police if needed. I like the idea of a world where people look out for each other, where they have each other's back, but I'm just not sure you can always do that without crossing lines of privacy or becoming a judgmental asshole. So Sean, Joe, Adrian, Internet, what would you have done in those situations and why? Put your comments downstairs. Until next time, peace out!